asking me that I have turned the Governors Forum into a union. He says it's no longer Governors Forum, it's now a trade union. And what we are doing is defend the rights of the people of Nigeria and ensure that the money accruable to the country was judiciously utilized. I think the former president didn't like it. He didn't like it. And when my tenure expired as a chairman, I was requested not to run for a second term. And I felt that as a Nigerian, I had the responsibility to exercise my right as a governor. So I put myself forward for the election. And if you saw the forces against me, you will actually think that I will lose. Let me quote my brother, and in fact, my elder brother and friend, Senator His Excellency Jang. He said, but Northeast Zone supported me, Northwest Zone supported me, North Central Zone supported me, South supported me, Southeast supported me. So how did you win? You did not win, 16 versus 19. I said, but I won. I have the 19 votes. And the rest appears to be history. But the basic reason why that happened is because of the radical posture we took. Let me jump to the first question because it's quite interesting. The first question has been quite difficult in my political career. It's been quite difficult in my political career. The reason why it's been difficult is that I was born to test my rights and fight for my rights. I was once a student union leader. And believe me, if there's one man who doesn't like corruption, I don't like corruption. I had come here with a copy of the so-called panel report. There is nowhere the panel indicted me. Nowhere. Not the government white paper. I came with the report itself. Nowhere the report indicted me. And I'm ready to tender this report before the Senate. Nowhere, I repeat, nowhere it indicted me. I was ready for questions for it, and I brought the panel report so that the Senate will be opportune to read the panel report and compare it or juxtapose it with the report of with the white paper released by the government. However, because there are challenges, people in Nigerian politics believe that there is a need for compromise and able to manage yourself around. I will do that. But where it clashes with my principle, I find it a bit difficult to do what people expect me to do. So if you ask me to advise upcoming politicians, I will find it difficult because most politicians would October 25, the Supreme Court declared me governor. Don't forget that I faced a similar challenge like I'm facing now. I was chased out of the country to Ghana. My family was chased out of the country. We were living in one room with my children just because I stood for my rights. But God and the Supreme Court found it worthy to declare that I will be governor of Rivers State, and I became governor of Rivers State. We are back to the same October. The same October. Today is 22nd. I hope that before the 25th or on the 25th, this Senate will find me qualified to be the Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So I thank Senator Nafiz for the question. Portfolio issue, it is a constitutional matter. You have powers to do whatever you want to do. The Attorney General in my former boss's government once told the governor, Dr. Peter Dele, whatever the legislature says you are, that's what you are. If they say you're a woman, you are a woman. You may be like a man, but if they say you're a woman, you're a woman. So if the legislature wants ministers to be nominated with portfolio, then they so make that amendment in the Constitution. If it's not there in the Constitution, then the president can only apply his powers as allowed to him by the Constitution. Would I, as a former legislator, be happy? I'll be glad if I see a list with portfolios. That way, everybody knows where he's going. For instance, you don't know where I'm going, so you don't know whether to ask me about my expertise in education or my expertise in health or my expertise in Niger Delta, like he did ask. That's my position on that. For my colleague and brother, my former colleague and brother, because now he's a senator and I'm not. I remember one day we had a conversation, Senator Goji and I. He came banging to my house and was very angry with me. And I said, after he finished shouting at me, I said, please, respect me, I'm a governor. He said, have you been a minister before? Have you been a senator before? So I'm pursuing his record. I want to be a minister now. After that, I want to be a senator. And I can tell you the story. He wanted the president to come to his state for campaign, and I was choked with the program. He didn't even know that behind him, I had canvassed for the president to go to Gombe, and I had put it on the program for the president to go to Gombe. I don't know who told him that I did not. So he came banging, very angry. And he had abused me enough, and I thought to him, I said, please respect me, I'm a governor. He thought to me, have you been a minister before? Have you been a senator before? I'm a senator of the Federal Republic. Even at that, I'm a senior governor. I say, you are a former governor. Okay, then, if you followed me after we visited Germany, you will know that my views changed slightly. What was my former view? I believe that the resources, my former view, I believe that the resources are in the Niger Delta and their fair share is necessary. You shouldn't deny them that. That's why there is militancy. I believe that if you don't address social justice, the country will not be the same. When we moved to Germany and I saw how they raised their funds, I felt, therefore, that our dependence on these natural resources is unnecessary. And I believe that we should draw a poverty line. Any state that does not have, let's say, for instance, that no state will collect anything less than 5 billion from the national revenue. If any state goes below 5 billion, all of us should contribute to make sure that state gets up to 5 billion. That's my new view. That's my new position on that. What else did you answer? If I become Minister of Niger Delta, in fact, East-West Road is not just for Niger Delta. It's an economic road that leads to economic prosperity for Nigeria. If I become the Minister for Niger Delta, that will be the first road to be completed. Thank you very much.
I'm Sheikh Usani, representing Kaduna Central. I acknowledge your contribution and sacrifice to the change revolution. But I have two questions for you. First of all, whatever you said here is listened to by millions of people within and outside of Nigeria. And whatever you said here will be in record for this generation and the future generations to come. I want you to, the first question is this. What is your recipe for peace between ministers and state governors? Yes. Taking cognizance of the events in Rivers and years ago, as you are going to be confirmed as a minister. And secondly, can you define from your own view what corruption is all about? According to Karl Klaus, he said prostitution is worse than corruption. The former endangers the morals of an individual, and the latter endangers the morale of an entire country. So can you, in your own view, define what corruption is all about? Thank you.
Senator Wamako.
The Senate President, my colleagues, the nominees. My names are Aliyu Magatakada Wamako. I hope you can remember that name. Representing Sokoto's Central Constituency of Sokoto State.
Thank you.
Right. Mr. Nominee, you're one of us who formed a pressure group as governors to go around the country meeting our elders and leaders, advocating for good governance, transparency, and rule of law. We also stood firmly on the belief that in 21st century, Nigerians should first and foremost understand that our diversity should be a source of strength and not otherwise. If eventually confirmed, which I'm confident we are going to be confirmed, what will you do in your first 100 days? Set up an example of those of us in that group. That the unity we are yearning for, that the rule of law we believe in, that good governance where the Nigerians are yearning for, has really or is being realized by the new dispensations. Thank you.
Senator Gumel.
Mr. President, my name is Senator Abdullahi Gumel. I represent Jigawa Northwest. I have one question which is political. I wanted to ask the nominee. As the Director General of the presidential campaign of APC, tell us the experiences you had when suddenly you sweep the PDP you swept the PDP from the leadership of this country. Please.
Senator Ashafa.
Thank you very much, the Senate President. I'm Senator Gbenga Ashafa, representing Lagos East Senatorial District. The whole country and indeed the world are watching us. And one salient question which should have been asked you, but up till now has not been asked, is the question I'm going to pose to you right away. In your earlier response, you did mention that there was a panel instituted by the present government of Rivers State. I believe it's a judicial commission. And from what we were reading in the papers, this commission indicted you on corruption, serious corruption allegations. And if we don't ask you that question, and you leave this hallowed chamber today, the whole world will ask us, what did we really do? I want you to expose the details of these corruption allegations so that your personality will further be known by all Nigerians, and if eventually you are confirmed as an honorable minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Nigerians will be happy that this is a very transparent, honest, and committed individual to that change mantra. Thank you very much.
Senator Abdurrahman Abubakar.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I have one question for Mr. Nominee, and the question has to do with the image of this present administration. This government, we know, is out for change. We have started witnessing the products of this change. But one worry, one area that I can easily talk about is, for instance, the issue of energy. We have enjoyed electricity in this country now for the past 4 months, more than we enjoyed over the last 20 years. So this is change, positive change.
Order. Order.
My question now, distinguished colleagues, my question now is, one worry that this government also has is the issue of massive unemployment. So if you are confirmed as a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, how would you contribute? How will you bring your charisma to bear on the determination of this government, to reduce unemployment in this country and create better life for our citizens? Thank you very much.
Next question, sir.
Mr. President, and thank you, distinguished senators. Let me start with the last question that was asked by Senator Abubakar. I hope that I will not be punished if I agree that there is change in the air. No, I agree that there is change in the air. There is absolute change in the air. That was what led me to joining APC, leaving PDP. Now, you've cited the example of power. You've not cited the example of executive impunity and recklessness. At least people can walk freely. As governor of Rivers State, I had no police attached to me. I think those ones have been taken care of now. When you deal with the issue of massive unemployment, you deal with the change in the economic mantra. The mono-economic situation where we have, monocropping economic situation that we have cannot survive. The Nigeria cannot continue to be what we are if we continue to just rely on oil. For me, I agree with the president that there is a need to invest in agriculture. When we went to Germany, there was no natural resources that we met. Now, if we invest in agriculture and invest in technology, you would hire as many workers as possible. In the course of campaign, I discovered that in Boronu, we were seeing watermelon that were grown naturally. If you plant just 100,000 hectares of watermelon in Boronu, if you encourage it by disbursing funds to responsible farmers, and you have 100,000 hectares of farmland planting watermelon alone in Boronu, you can be sure to engage more than 30,000 workers. You can be sure to engage more than 30,000 workers. If you do a similar thing around Kano and other parts, look at the first, what crops can be suited in which area, and you encourage farmers with funding, because problem is the fund from the banks and the interest rate. So government must invest in that regard. If you do that, sir, you will get employment. Did we do that in Rivers State? The answer is yes. We established 2 farms. We established a farm for training. We established a banana farm. And we employed the time I feel happy is when I go on inspection and I see men, women queuing up to be hired on daily basis. And they are paid on daily basis. I think that we must diversify the economy. Mining is another area that God has blessed us, that we need to do that. And we also need to invest in education, because some of these people are unemployable. We need to invest hugely on education. Did we do that in Rivers State? Yes. For the 4, 5, 6 years, our budget was highest in education in Rivers State. So if this happens, sir, I think we employ quite a large number of workers. Secondly, you must improve on what I call the social rights of the people. If you improve on social rights of the people, there will be peace. If you have peace, there will be investors. You must have power, whether we like it or not. If you don't have power, there will be no industrialization. If you don't improve on power supply, and I don't see the rocket science in power supply, I think we should just look at what the problems are and remove corruption and invest in power. And then you will see as many people as possible that will have other forms of it. The reason why most people don't invest in Nigeria is that the cost of production in Nigeria by far outweighs the benefits you will make from your business. So Nigeria, I usually say that a Nigerian is a government on his own. He hires his own security, he has his own borehole, he has his own generator. So what is government providing? That's why government needs to do all this. And that is as it refers to you. Senator Gumel, that's a very difficult question to answer, my distinguished senator. Extremely difficult in the sense that I don't think that I'll be doing good to my colleagues and brothers. I was once in PDP, who are on this side, that we should be trying to explain to them how we managed to take PDP out of power. But key was that we sold to the public. We sold to the public the fact that there was massive corruption in the system, and there was a need to fight that corruption. And the only way to fight that corruption is to put a new government. And we had to get a signpost candidate. The signpost candidate is a man who the Nigerian public have seen as an incorruptible president. And that's why the party had to put President Buhari forward. And we thought there was a need to do things differently. I thought that as good as the former president may have been, I don't think he was suitable enough for the growth and development of Nigeria. So we needed to offer the opportunity to somebody we believe, and I believe that, is better than the former president. But I don't think we should go right on what happened. Let me thank you, Senator Ashafa. I repeated that I brought all the copies of the panel. I didn't bring the white paper. All the copies of the panel. I didn't bring the white paper. There is nowhere I was indicted. If the Senate President permits me, I'm ready to lay this on the table so that members can have opportunity of reading it. Nowhere that I was indicted. Now, you've asked me to define corruption. Corruption is very difficult to define. If you're a public officer and you don't take bribe, I have never taken bribe in my life. But if they send a girl to you and you sleep with the girl and do that favor, you are corrupt. But Nigerians don't know that. They think that corruption is only when you collect bribe. Corruption is a very wide concept. If people are competing for a position and you offer your son or your brother or sister an opportunity to hold that position, when the person is not qualified, you are corrupt. So it's difficult for me to define corruption, sir. I hope that I've been able to put things a bit the way I thought I should define it. Let me thank Senator Wamako. What will I do to ensure that when you talk about unity, diversity, good governance, and all that, there must be consequence for actions taken by anybody. If we begin to punish people who disobey the law or the Constitution, then we'll keep our unity. Believe me, the truth is that the Ikwere man in my village has nothing against the Hausa man in Sokoto. The fight is among the elites. And the fight among the elites is not because you're from Sokoto or I'm from River State. If you bring the money and me and you are sharing, we won't know you're from Sokoto, you won't know I'm from River State. What we know is the money. So the unity is there. It is the quarrel among the elites on the issue of power sharing and capital sharing. I think that's all, sir. No, you talk what's the recipe for peace between the governors. Again, it depends on both the governor and the minister. Some ministers get appointed, and if they were in the past, if they were nominated by their governor, suddenly form their own group and begin to fight the governor. And when they do it, they use what they call federal might. So the commissioner, I'll give myself as an example. I never saw my commissioner of police again until I left office for 3 years. For my director of SSS to come to my office or my house to see me by 12 midnight, he will wear face cap and put the front behind, hire a taxi, and drive into my compound, whisper to me, and run away. He will come in the taxi. The brigade commander is even the worst. I never saw my brigade commander. They hijacked him at the federal level. If we keep to the rule of law and take away impunity and allow a governor function as a governor, that will be it. Thank you very much, sir.
About 11 senators and has been with us now for 50 minutes. Is it the wish of the Senate that the nominee takes his leave now?
Yeah.
Mr. Nominee, you can take your leave.
And there you have it, bowing before the minority leader and walking out of the chambers, former governor, ministerial nominee, Rotimi Amaechi. And I can tell you here in the National Assembly, there is, outside the National Assembly, there's a large crowd. People are just running everywhere to shoot. That camera. Outside here, it appears it's not only within the chambers that it appears they have. Can you hear the shout there? The shout goes here in the lobby of the National Assembly. You can see as he walks, he attempts to walk out. He's there trying to leave the chamber, but there's a large crowd there, a large crowd. And you can hear them there shouting. The shout of "We don't win" is what is happening out there. He's finding it difficult to walk out of the premises. He's finding it difficult to walk outside the chamber. And even for a few minutes right now, the lawmakers, you can see them walking around there, shaking each other. It appears for everybody concerned, this is a key moment. This is a key moment, and I'm sure all the lawmakers are relieved that it has come and gone without much of the anticipated tension that everyone had thought will accompany this screening. And immediately the next nominee